felt it, that pull towards something bigger. The patterns in energy, intuition, and consciousness that can't be coincidence. Welcome to the Unity Code, where science meets energy and spirit, where curiosity becomes consciousness and magic becomes measurable. I'm Nicole Pope, soul integration guide and former corporate executive turned spiritual experimenter. Here we break down the energetic patterns beneath everyday life so you can understand how they work, test them in real time, and use them to transform the way you live, lead, and connect. This is a space for learning, experimenting, innovating, and implementing tools that bridge science and spirit, turning knowledge into practice and practice into transformation. Together, we decode the frequencies that shape reality, explore the science behind energy, and test what happens when spirit and community align. This is the Unity Code. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Unity Code. I am so excited today to continue my previous conversation about spirit guides, but we're going to go a little bit sideways in this because I want to talk about spirit guides, timelines, vibrations, your highest path, and really how I've seen this surface and come to fruition within the last few weeks. And I think it's some revelations I always understood to be true, but now I have the ability to put words to it and explain it and understand it a bit more. So this is going to be a little bit of a live processing episode with all of you. I'm going to try to keep the lines straight. However, there is nothing straight about timelines, as we will see in a moment. So a little bit of a story time is when I am doing spirit guide readings, a lot of the times clients will come to me asking for what is my best path for this, as in what's the most abundant, what's the most successful, what's the least resistant, right? What is the highest definition of success based on my current path? Those of you know, you're starting to realize what I'm talking about. I see the energy moving around in your heads versus what do I have to do to get this versus is this the right decision for me? And this is going to butt up directly against this idea of free will that exists in the spirit world. Because as you may know, and this is something I try to educate everywhere I possibly can, because I think there's so many gross misunderstandings out there in the marketplace about this, that there is, number one, no set path for us. Number two, spirit guides never really tell us what to do. And if they do, I mean, they do tell us what to do, but like they won't make decisions for us. Let me say it that way. They'll tell us what the best path is, but we have to make the decision to go down that path. Just like our New Year's resolutions, everybody, I would really love to get fit and go to the gym. And I know that would be an ideal path for me. However, I need to actually drag my ass to the gym. That's what I'm talking about. The difference between like making the decision versus the action behind it. And then in addition, it's just so intriguing that a lot of people think that spirit guides are like these genies that hold the answer to all life's mysteries and clues. And all we have to do is tap into their energy and receive their wisdom and their guidance. Are you laughing yet? Are you laughing yet? Because as we tap into these guides, the level of information you get is going to vary greatly, and I mean greatly, depending on what you need to know at this time. And sometimes they'll give you the whole download, soup to nuts, all the steps, right? And sometimes they will be totally vague, a giant mystery that you will have to figure out yourself. There is no rhyme or reason to this as the one doing the reading. All I know is that whatever comes through is what is supposed to come through. And I'm recognizing a lot of the times when a reading doesn't go as good as I think it could, I blame myself. And I'm realizing it's not me. I'm realizing that sometimes spirit guides don't like to give the full answer. They don't like to tell you everything that you're supposed to do. They sometimes have clients that come to me asking me to validate their experiences as spirits. Like, I told you what the answer was. I'm not going to tell her. You already know what you're supposed to be doing. And so working with guides is as clear as mud some days. But I want to break down. Are you done with guides yet? I just went to this whole thing about how amazing guides are. And then when you come to me, it may be amazing, it may be total shit. I mean, that's the reality of working with guides, and it's what they want you to know, and how they want you to function at this time. And so entering this information and entering this idea that we are not always meant to get all of the answers from guides, I'm now realizing, and I'm realizing this live here as I'm recording this podcast, that sometimes we don't get the answers that we want because the client is asking about the wrong timeline. And so as we talk about, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right path for me? How do I get to that next job? How do I get to the place where I can quit my job and do this full time? A lot of the times when I'm reading clients that are asking that, what's the time frame? How do I do this? I'm seeing my guides laugh in my head. Do you see how fucking hard this job is? They're telling me. Because they can't answer that because you're asking them about something that you want that is outside of your timeline. It is outside of your vibration. And now I haven't quite figured out the relationship between timeline and vibrations. But for me, I right now they tend to be a one for one. And I want to say it this way, and I don't think I'm 99% sure my definition will change in the future. But at this current point in time, how I see timelines are essentially how I see vibrations. And so I think that all of us can concurrently exist across many different timelines and many different vibrations at the same time. And when we're talking about vibrations, as you all know, we are all in very different vibrations. So the lower vibrations are the ones that are always victim mode. Everything is it happens to me. Nothing happens that I want. Everything is horrible, right? And it generally portrays this sense of hopelessness in lower vibrations. As you get to the middle of the line, let's say your vibration's a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10, then you start to really understand that sure, nothing really happens for a reason. I don't really like this. I don't know why this is happening, but okay, I'll trust that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm meant for. I mean, there's no sovereignty in that statement at all, but you're like, it's fine. You're still a little bit of a victim mode, but the key is that you're starting to understand the patterns and structures of the system. Now, as we get to the higher vibrations, let's say like an 8 or 9 or a 10, you start to understand that when things don't work out, when I don't get the first parking spot at the local sushi restaurant, that is because there is something better. And so you start to celebrate when things don't work out for you. And you're like, fuck, yes, that means that something amazing is coming, right? Something amazing is coming. And I know and I trust spirit. And I'm going to just be like, yes, there is going to be a better place for me. And so, as we're talking about these timelines, I think that there's probably an infinite number of timelines and an infinite number of vibrations that we can possibly exist to. And I don't think that we're in one timeline or one vibration consistently all day, every day. I think that we hop between these timelines and between these vibrations. Now, what happened to me with the windows open in that previous podcast episode, that's the thing I can't quite put my finger on. And this is, I know, where I'm going to get more expansive in my perspective on timelines, but you can see where I'm going. And so if you are currently at a level 2 out of 10 and you're miserable in your job and you're victim mode and everything horrible is happening to you and nothing happens for you and your boss is an asshole and your spouse is a pain in the ass and your kids are so undisciplined and everything around you feels like it is falling apart into crumbles, and you go to your team and you ask, when can I quit my job? How the fuck are they supposed to answer that? Because I'll tell you what, you can't quit your job there, because even if you quit your job, even if you do what your soul knows inevitably it will eventually do, let's just put it that way, you can't do it at this vibration level, because you'll find giant failures or flaws, and it won't be sustainable to quit your job at a vibration level 2. Because the moment things go south, because inevitably they will, you're going to go flying back. You're going to have this nervous system responses, right? And so this is what I'm talking about this level 2 vibration, this level 2 timeline, and how your guides can't necessarily answer that. And so in the past, I would be like, oh, they're just being vague. But now I'm coming to the realization of like, oh, there's no answer for that, right? The limit is undefined. There is no answer. It's impossible. And so I'm learning to check myself in spirit guide readings to say, is this the right question? Um, so this is not, I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is a spiritual slap. I don't think I've missed out on anything. But as I've learned and as I've grown and as I've had readings and I've had these perspectives, isn't it so interesting that what I would quickly initially brush off as the guy just didn't want you to know, now realizing it was the wrong question to begin with. Right. And either way, it's fine, because either way, the spirit is giving me very vague answers. So they're not giving any wrong information that my client can get worse on, right? They can't make the situation worse. But now I'm really understanding um, how the information comes in. If it's not clear, there's something nuanced about it that I didn't understand. Right. And the bigger picture with all of this is a lot of people start from your current vibration, your current state of being, your current reality. And they're asking how to get to a future that is likely outside of their vibration and timeline. And how do I do that? And normally to shift vibrations, that's that internal trauma work, everybody. That's the internal, let me release the lead balloons work that takes you from lower vibrations to higher vibrations consistently. And so, what is so interesting about all of these dynamics with your guides is that there is a future for you in every vibration. There is no wrong vibration. It just simply is the frequency in which your soul has chosen to exist here in the physical world. So that's why there are no wrong choices. There are no missteps, because every path is a chosen or successful path in its own right. Is it the best path? Maybe not. Maybe it's not the one full of bliss, but it is a viable path that you can take. Did I break your brain yet? Did I break your brain? Because this is what I think about. I think about the clients who come to me and they ask me, how do I get to that destination from here? And I want to step back and ask, why is that your destination? What makes you think that that's the best destination? Right? Are you willing to do the work that it's going to take to get to that destination? Because a lot of the spiritual bypassing I see sh- portrays mainly the divine masculine path, which is everything that I've said to you so far. How do I get there? Right? What's the right steps? These all assume there's a right path and there's a right step to take to get to the destination, where in reality, there is no right path or right step. It's only what feels right for you, right? There's no talk or address of how do we lighten up your frequency so that path doesn't need steps. So that path isn't something that is different from you now. It's just naturally where you're going to evolve into. How do we raise your vibration, work on your nervous system, work on your subconscious, your triggers, to make that path easy and flow to be achieved instead of having to roll the boulder uphill to get there? And not to mention, again, that assumes that you think you know the destination of the best path, right? What if I told you there are better paths out there? What if I told you there are better options out there? What would that look like and feel like for you? What is your life at a 10 look like? And this is funny because what's popping in my brain is like this idea of Six Sigma. I'm going to go down. I'm going down the rabbit hole just for a moment here. This is my former life, and it's just like, um, how much work are you going to put in to get the outcome that you want? Because maybe a level 8 is enough to make you uncomfortable and still have a life that you love. Maybe you don't need to be a 10. And this is something I was just talking about with a client today because and she I love all my clients, but I love the intuitive clients where I can talk like I am and talking to you, where I can say, that you can choose any path you want and it's going to be okay. And she's like, "Yeah, I know that." And I'm like, "And I'm telling and we need to go down your highest path then." And she's like, "Yeah, I get that." Right? Um because she didn't want to misstep on the opportunity to walk down her highest path. And I'm like, you get it. You get it. Let's do that. And I think that's where the magic is. And I think this is why let me see if I can I don't know if there's a why. I'm hesitating on the why, so that means there is no why. I think this is more awareness for you all, number one, as practitioners, if you do spirit guide readings, to really think about the questions that you are answering. Think about the questions your client is asking, and are they the right questions? Hi there. I wanted to pause briefly to share the ways that you can work with me more deeply in a group setting if you are ready to apply this work, not just learn about it. First up is the Revive Your Sacral Power beginning January 20th. This is a co-led container with Adriana Keefe, the Human Design Priestess, focused on restoring your relationship with your creative life force and embodied decision making. So you're no longer forcing momentum or second guessing your inner yes and no. Second up is the Intuitive Development Program. It is a foundational container for strengthening perception, discernment, and trust in how information actually comes through from your higher self, building consistency and clarity without forcing your gifts to appear a certain way. And last up is The Circle. This is for intermediate and advanced practitioners focused on spirit communication across modalities. Yes, this is the only container out there for psychic, mediumship, Akashic Records, galactic, and spirit guides, and probably more than that. So this is a beautiful space for refinement, experimentation, and continued development without diluting the work. All of these group offerings are linked in the show notes. And now, thank you so much. Back to the episode. I don't know. I think that varies from person to person, whether the right questions or not. But I think that if you are receiving something different or something doesn't feel right as you receive the information from the guides and or if it's coming in sticky or slow or vague, I think that's a really good indicator to be like, time out. Let me talk with your team for a second and see if this is sticky. Let me find out why. And you can ask the spirit guides to be like, is this the wrong question? Do we need to go down a different path? Is there something that I need to know in order to deliver this information? So you can actually go and rib back and forth with the guide to figure out, is there a better question that needs to be answered? Is there a different path that we haven't talked about? Is there a different vibration to this? Are they asking to move from a 2 to an 8, which, I want to tell you is possible, but realistically it's going to take a lot of fucking work. So they don't want to tell you that. And so I think it's again getting curious as to maybe why, if some readings come in clear and others don't, why is that? And what can you do to get the information in maybe a little bit more clearly for those sticky sessions? And then for those of you that are getting more spirit guide style readings, or if you're going to a practitioner to get insight on a question, it is about being open to maybe realizing that you asked the wrong question, realizing that there is a different timeline or a better choice than what you're thinking of. And this does not come from judgment at all, because I think we make this is like my whole solid foundation about people in general. We all make the best decisions with what we know, what we have available. And so I truly think that my clients aren't purposely coming in and asking the wrong questions. I just don't think that they realize the reality of frequencies and how there's different vibrations and there's different timelines and there's different stories and lives you can live in this lifetime. And I do think that we have a destined timeline that we're supposed to be on, but it doesn't mean that you don't accomplish that and then go higher, right? And so I think it's being open to maybe asking questions like, what am I missing? What am I blind to? Is there a better path available for me? What are the things internally I need to work on to raise my vibration? Because who doesn't want to be a little bit happier and lighter these days? And I guess I want to close with this perspective of I never thought this shit could be possible. Can I be honest with you there? I had no idea that we could exist in different timelines and have a different experience in every single timeline. I used to think that we all had one path and we all had our individual boulders or lessons or things we had to overcome or family lineage issues, past life issues, karma, whatever you want to call it, that needed to be addressed while we're here. And I used to think that this is like one path with a whole bunch of check boxes that I'm supposed to check off. And what I'm realizing is that this is our journey. We get to make of it what we want to. And I do think we do have check boxes of things that we want to accomplish. But then I think we have a whole lot of open space where we get to choose to see the light, to grow and expand for our soul, for the collective that is accessible to us. And I hope this perspective that I'm giving you today doesn't frustrate you. And I'm not telling you how to feel, but I'm hoping that this doesn't make you feel worse or stressed or like, oh shit, I'm a 2. I'm totally a 2. How do I get to the 8? Because I don't think, again, in our masculine centered society, the higher number is better. Like I want to be the perfectionist that's at the 10 level. I don't think that is a reality for most people. But also, I think it's more attainable than you think it is. I truly fucking do. And the difference at these vibrations is not what you accomplish. And I know we started there. I know we started with, at an 8, I can do this. At a 2, this is what's likely to happen, because I think that is a side effect. But the difference is the vibrations that we live in reflect the internal state that we are in. And so you can still be poor as a pauper at a level 10. But the difference is that you fucking love life. You wake up every day excited. Every time you get a message from a friend, you light up, right? You know that things aren't working out, but you trust that this is the best path possible and that there's always something better in store. And you're so grateful and thankful for the life that you have, for the family, for the relationships, for the career, the job, right? For the losses that you've had to suffer, or in the trauma that you've had to go through. And you don't let that change who you are. You realize that's part of the journey and you love it and you're excited for what's next. Versus you could be like Mark fucking Zuckerberg, one of the richest guys on the planet, and you're probably a 2. you're probably an asshole. You probably think everyone's out to get you. Can like Elon Musk, everybody. I know somebody that has worked for him and she was like, it was the worst fucking job of my life. It was like having Big Brother with times 10 watch you every single day. And so it's so interesting because it's not necessarily the financial career outcomes. It's more about how you feel inside and how you want to live your life and the stories that you tell yourself and the perspective that you have. That is what the real difference is between all these vibrations. Welcome to my messy processing, everybody. And so I'm not even sure where to go from here. I'm feeling the energy start to dissipate. So I believe the card channeling session is coming to a close. But I just want to again reiterate that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And again, I think achieving that internal state of bliss is so attainable for people when they realize that there are different stories that you can tell yourself. There are different realities that exist out there where you don't have to be the victim. You don't have to tell yourself the negative stories, have the negative self-talk, that you can be grateful and loving and appreciative. And that is a choice that you make through the actions that you choose, through the internal states that you either run towards or run away from. The traumas where you decide that I'm going to eternally be the victim versus I'm going to see a different perspective and see a different story in there. Because the reality is, none of us are getting out of this alive. None of us. But the way that you live while you're here is going to make all the difference in your everyday life. And so, as you work with guides, as you work with your team, if you want to work with me and raise that vibration, you get to choose what level you want to be at and how much work you're willing to do to be at that level. And I'll tell you what, I am not stopping, because living in a state of perpetual bliss, it's amazing. It is freeing. It is not being driven by my brain or my nervous system or the worries of every single day. It's literally living in this flow state, which naturally attracts abundance at that high vibration, which can look different. It could be money, could be friends, could be family, right? It could be abundance in so many different ways. But I am here for this and I am not stopping. I'm going to see how high that scale goes. So if you're interested in raising your vibration, if you want one of these readings where you can ask your guides, what fucking path should I be on, or what is my highest potential? Let's do it. Head to my website. I would love to do a reading for you. And if you have thoughts on this, did I break your brain? Are you like, fuck yes, I've been waiting for you to talk about this? Let me know. Let me know. I do have the chat room open on the Unity Code community. Link is in the show notes if you want to join and pop on there and ask questions, or, send me messages, add comments to my posts, whatever feels right for you. And I won't judge that. But until next time, I am sending you all the love. Go and live the vibration you deserve. And I will chat again soon. Take care. You've just tapped into something powerful, the code beneath it all. This isn't about following the rules. It's about learning the codes so well that you know how to break them, how to rewrite your energy, your patterns, and your life. Together, we're not just learning the codes, we are rewriting what's possible. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a review and share it. Every ripple expands the collective frequency and helps others discover this powerful and transformative work. And also, please come join the Unity Collective, where we explore, experiment, and evolve the way we understand spirit, energy, and consciousness together. I'm Nicole Pope, your Soul Integration Guide. Thank you so much for helping me explore and innovate what's possible.